So that might be the it's
Okay.
states games.
Yeah.
Like there was this cool color in there something.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like really. You have it?
Yeah. Okay. I want to see my face. How are you? Good. Right now.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning, Mr. Poston. Hi, Jail. Do we have
Good
someone?
morning, Your Honor. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Ma'am.
Good. Do you have someone from the public defender's office there?
We are trying to get them right now, Your Honor. And also, just so that the court is aware, Mr. Neighbor refused to come down for today.
Okay. All right, we'll roll him to tonight.
Thank you.
Sir, are you Mr. Barry?
Yes, John.
Right, we're just waiting for a public defender to get here before we handle your case.
Judge, just informed that there's not a public defender in the building at all.
Okay, let me work on that.
Yeah.
So Jail, how hard would it be to start with the misdemeanors while we're waiting? I know we don't have very many of them today, but maybe we
Not
could,
hard at all, Judge.
we could do those. Sorry, Mr. Barry.
You're okay. Give me just 1 second to grab them all.
Thank you.
This meter going that up.
Which one was on?
Yes. Yes.
Let's grab it.
Hi, sir. Tell me your name.
Daniel Barton.
Mr. Barton, you are here this morning for initial appearance on charges of disorderly conduct, 3 counts. This is all domestic violence related. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. This is going to be out of Sarita Municipal Court. I've had a chance to review information provided by pretrial services to the court. I've also had a chance to review the information provided by law enforcement in the interim. If I release you on these charges today, Mr. Barton, will you promise to show up at a court date that I give you in the future at Sarita?
Yes, Your Honor.
The other thing is you are not going to be allowed to reside or go near any of the victims in this case, except having phone contact with Miss Barton. So you're not going to be able to go to where they're living. Do you have somewhere else you can stay?
Figure it out.
I'm sorry?
I'll figure it out. I have some friends that I could probably stay with. I just don't know, their personal address right at this moment.
Okay, that's fine. So as long as you have a place to go, the additional conditions of release will be that you can't have any contact with anyone other than Miss Barton and only Miss Barton by phone. Do you understand that?
Yes,
All right.
yes, Your Honor.
Then I am going to release you today on your promise to appear. Your next court date is January 7th, 2025 at 8:30 in the morning. That will be at Sarita Municipal Court. When you get released today, you'll get a copy of your paperwork. It's going to have that date as well as the address information for the court. It's also going to have your conditions of release on it, indicating you are not to commit any further acts of domestic violence and not to have any contact with the victims. Don't go near where they're living or working, as we've discussed. Phone contact only with Miss Barton. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
I do. I have one question. Me and her live together in that home. Am I allowed to go to that property to get my stuff with an officer?
Yes, I'm going to check the box on your conditions of release that says you may return one time with a police escort to pick up your belongings. So again, make sure you have that paper and then you'll need to take it to Sarita Police or call and let them know that you do need to go pick up your things pursuant to a court order. All right?
Yes.
I do need to tell you that if you fail to appear on that January 7th date at 8:30, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
I do. I'll be there.
All right, you're all done, Mr. Barton.
Thank you.
Miss Swan?
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your full name.
Swan.
Say that again.
Celeste Swan.
All right.
J-U-A-N.
Miss Swan, you are here today on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct. There are two separate counts. The victims are your parents in this matter. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I've had a chance to review information provided by pretrial services on your case. It does look like your parents are still wanting to have contact with you. So if I release you today, will you promise to go to the South Tucson City Court at a date that I give you in the future?
Yes.
All right. Your next court date is going to be January 7th, 2025 at 10 a.m. I'm releasing you on your promise to appear today. You are not to commit any further acts of domestic violence. I'm not restricting contact with your parents at this time at their request. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes.
If you fail to appear on that January 7th date, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
When you get released later today, Miss Swan, you're going to get a copy of your paperwork. It's going to have the date and time that we just talked about, as well as the address and phone number for South Tucson City Court. All right,
Okay.
you're all done for today.
Thank you.
Phil? Philip?
Yes,
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Philip J. Stancome. Sorry, I can't speak. I haven't had any water.
Okay, well, I understood you, Mr. Stancome. So you are here today on charges of DUI, disorderly conduct, and theft. It is out of Marina. You do have the right to remain silent on these charges. Anything you
Sir?
say, hang on,
Sir?
sir. No, wait. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We do have a victim on the line this morning that wants to be heard as to your conditions of release, and that's what we're here to talk about today. The disorderly conduct charge is a domestic violence offense. Is there someone on the phone today? Mr. Collier, if that's you, I can't hear you. You may need to hit *6 on your phone so you can be heard. All right. Are you there, Mr. Collier? I can. I can. So, Mr. Collier, the only thing we're here to talk about today are conditions of release. I have had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. It looks like you told them that Mr. Stancome is welcome to return to your shared residence and that you're okay having contact with him and you don't object to his release. Is that still all the case? Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me today with respect to conditions of release?
No, I'd just like to know if I can pick it up and if so, when and where would that be?
You will be able to pick him up. So Mr. Stancome, did you hear what Mr. Collier just said?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I did.
All right. So I am going to release you on your promise to appear at Marina City Court on January 22nd at 10 o'clock in the morning. Will you promise to appear at that court date?
Yes,
And if you fail to appear, do you understand that they can issue a warrant for your arrest?
yes,
All right. At this time, the only other condition of release is that you not commit any further acts of domestic violence. I'm not going to restrict any contact with Mr. Collier at this time based on his input. You will be released later today.
Yeah,
Mr. Collier, I don't know what time, but he will be at the Pima County
Okay.
Jail. So he should be able to call you when he's getting released so that you know what time to go pick him up. I would guess this afternoon. Jail, are you able to provide any other information that might be more helpful?
Transport is included, takes roughly 2 to 4 hours to get in flat.
Thank you. Did you hear that, Mr. Collier? 2 to 4 hours from now.
yes.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So Mr.
Christopher, bring more colors. It's
Bring what?
fucking freezing.
He's freezing, so he'd like you, he'd like you to bring a coat for him. So, all right, Mr. Stancome, that's all for today. Mr. Collier, that's all. Thank you for calling in. Hi, tell me your full name.
Devin Lamar Privett.
Mr. Privett, you are here on some Tucson City Court matters today involving disorderly conduct. 2 counts. One of those is a domestic violence offense. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Looks like you also have some warrants out of city court. Looks like you have a probation review on those for January 23rd at 3 p.m. Were you aware of that hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you know that one's coming up.
Yeah, I just came before it this month.
Okay. Yeah. So these are going to be new charges that you're being seen on today. If I release you on your promise to appear, I'm also going to order at this time that you not have any contact with the victim. Do you have a place that you can reside that is not with that person right now?
None whatsoever.
Well, the only alternative I have is to keep you in custody if you don't have a place to go because you can't have contact with her right now.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, I can get an officer to escort me to get my wallet and belongings and I can get a room.
Yes.
I have money, I can, yeah. Okay.
You can't stay there until there is a further order of the court.
Right, I understand that, yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do today is release you on your promise to appear. You are not to have any contact right now with Tina Macias. Do not go to where she is living or working. I am going to check the box on your conditions of release that says that you may return one time with law enforcement to pick up your belongings. So you need to make sure that you call the Tucson Police Department or go with them to the house so that you can collect whatever it is that you need so you can establish an alternative address.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Give me just 1 second to finish up the paperwork and I'll give you your next court date. All right, so we're gonna keep that same court date for you of January 23rd at 3 o'clock, and you're gonna see Judge Million. Was that your judge on your other cases?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. So on these new charges, you will see her then. I do need to tell you that if you fail to appear on January 23rd, a warrant could issue for your arrest. The hearings could also go forward in your absence, this hearing and any subsequently set hearings, including a trial. If a trial is set in your absence and you're convicted and you can't be sentenced within 90 days, you could also lose your right to any direct appeal. Do you understand all of those consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, I do.
All right, when you get released today, you'll get a copy of your court paperwork. Make sure you get that so that you can return with law enforcement, and it'll also have that date for you. You're all done for today.
Thank you.
Ms. Womack? No, Ms. Womack.
Great. Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Maya Womack.
Miss Womack, you are here today on charges of criminal damage, disorderly conduct, and assault. These are domestic violence offenses. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on this matter. If I release you today, do you have a place that you can reside that is not with your roommate?
I can go to a shelter or something.
All right.
I can call. I can also see if yeah, I have a couple of places. I can call my ex and see if I can possibly stay there until I get into a shelter, maybe. That's what I'll try first. And if the answer is no to that, then I'll just go straight to a shelter.
Okay. I'm going to release you on your promise to appear. Will you go to a court date that I give you in the future, Miss Womack?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to release you today on your promise to appear. Your next court date is going to be January 15th, 2025 at 10 o'clock in the morning at Tucson City Court in front of Judge Hale. That is going to be when you need to appear. If you fail to appear at that date and time, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. The hearing could also go forward in your absence. I am going to enter not guilty pleas for you at this time. If the hearings go forward in your absence, this hearing and any subsequently set hearings, including a trial, could be set. And if you're convicted at that trial and can't be sentenced within 90 days, you're also going to lose your right to a direct appeal. Do you understand all the consequences for failing to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
And then your conditions of release: commit no acts of domestic violence. And at this time, you can't have any contact with your roommate. Don't go near where he's living or working. Do you need?
Yeah, my dog's there. All my stuff is there. My puppy's there.
Okay, hang on. That's going to be the next thing I was going to ask. Do you need to return to the residence to get your things? So that's a
Yes.
yes. So I'm going to check the box on your form that says you can return one time with law enforcement to get anything that you need from the residence. So your conditions of release, you'll get a copy of when you get released from the jail later today. Have information that says you may return one time with law enforcement to get your belongings. Call the Tucson Police Department or go to a nearby substation and let them know that you do need to go collect your things and they will accompany you. Just do not return to the residence by yourself. Okay, Miss Womack?
Yes.
The other thing I will tell you is there is the transition center. It's a trailer right near the jail property. When you get released later today, if you ask them where it is, it's kind of right there. That transition center offers services for housing and a bunch of other services. So you may want to stop by there. If you're talking about going to a shelter, they may be able to assist you if that's something that you need help with. So I'm not ordering that, but that's a resource for you if you need it today when you get released, okay?
Thanks.
All right, that's all for today.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess jail, we are waiting for Sean Coulter from the Public Defender's Office, and he is on his way. Apparently, we don't have an ETA as to how long that's going to take, so we're gonna be in a little bit of a holding pattern.
Standing by, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is turning from else image.
Yeah, it is.
Luis.
So just an update, Miss Page from the Public Defender's Office has indicated she'll jump on Teams so that we can get things moving until someone actually gets there. So as soon as she joins us, we'll be able to start with Mr. Barry's case. Hi, Mr. Adair.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Who are you here for today?
Quinn Morales.
Okay, and who are you?
I'm the attorney appearing. We filed a limited notice of appearance for purposes of this initial appearance today with Suzuki Law Offices.
All right, we apparently do not have that here.
I have an email from Jennifer Nava.
She's from the Pima County Attorney's Office, not the courts.
I can call my paralegal in and get that to you.
We're going to have our Justice Court Clerk here, see if Miss Nava would mind forwarding it to her so that we can get it as quickly as
Can you here, please? Upstairs.
Mr. Adair, I'm just gonna have you go back on mute until we call that case. I don't know. I know we're waiting on the Public Defender's Office to jump in. We're gonna go ahead and contact the County Attorney's Office and see if Miss Nava can forward that over. It'll be faster probably.
Counsel, you want to send it to me? It's like,
We have it, Mr. Poston. Thank you.
Nope.
I appreciate it. So I mean, jail, while we're waiting for Miss Page, is Miss Morales somewhere close by or Quinn Morales somewhere close by? We could always do that one since we do have the attorney present.
Yes, Judge. What?
One page.
Well, other parts of she does.
All right, Mr. Adair, are you unmuted again?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good morning. Tell me your full name.
Quinn Amber Morales.
Ms. Morales, you were here today on a charge of disorderly conduct, reckless display of a firearm. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. It is a felony. In lieu of appointing the public defender's office, it's my understanding that you have retained counsel from Suzuki Law Offices. Mark Adair is actually present on Teams today for that hearing. He has filed a limited notice of appearance for purposes of the hearing here today. We are waiting to get a copy of that, but I obviously believe Mr. Adair. So this is the time set to discuss your conditions of release on this case. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. I've also had a chance to review information provided by the state with respect to their recommendation as to conditions of release. The state is recommending a bond in the amount of $5,000 today. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
Your Honor, this involves a alleged road rage incident where the defendant, whilst in her vehicle, became upset that somebody honked a horn at her, and with her children in the back of her car, brandished a weapon. Your Honor, this is very concerning, notwithstanding the defendant's lack of a criminal history. This still is a weapons crime, and it's very, very concerning.
Mr. Adair, I will tell you I'm inclined to release Ms. Morales to pretrial services. Did you want to be heard as to other conditions of release?
No, Judge, I think that would be appropriate. I have also seen the PTS report. I've not seen any probable cause statement from law enforcement or the state's recommendation, but I appreciate that, putting that on the record. Yes, she has no criminal history. She has a full-time job. She is a pharmacist. She's professionally licensed. I'm understanding this is going to be a disputed facts case, so I think that the release, as the court is inclined, would be appropriate. And that would be my request.
All right. So Ms. Morales, you're going to be released to pretrial services today. That is an arm of the court. You will be expected to touch base with them and stay in contact with them for these proceedings. Conditions of release are going to include that you not have any alcohol or drugs, and you're not going to be allowed to have any firearms while this case is going on. If you do have any firearms, you must surrender those to law enforcement while this case is pending. I'm sure Mr. Adair can assist you with that if you have questions. You're not to have any contact with the victim. To the extent that you learn where they live or work, do not go anywhere near them. Do you understand those conditions of release, ma'am?
I understand.
Your next hearing date is December 30th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're going to be responsible for showing up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. You'll be out of custody. It'll be important that you stay in contact with Mr. Adair in the event that the date changes. Do you understand consequences if you fail to appear?
I understand.
You're all done for today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Adair.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Page.
One more time.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm sorry about the attorney situation. Sean Coulter is on his way down to the jail, but I will be here.
Okay, perfect. So this is Mr. Berry's third time hitting the seat. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Berry. All right, so Megan Page is from the Public Defender's Office and she is on screen. So this is the time for your initial appearance. It looks like it is an arraignment that you missed. There is a warrant that was issued, looks like by me back in December. It was December 6th. There was a $10,000 bond at that time, and it looks like there are 20 some counts of organized retail theft. You do have the right to remain silent on that case. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint Sarah Wright to represent you. She's a contract attorney, but you do have Ms. Page representing you at the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on your matter. I do know that you have another felony hold. It also looks like the state is requesting a no bond on this case as well. Is that the case,
Your Honor.
Mr. Poston?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, you're cutting out. Was that a yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's try. He sits himself this.
So I guess the concern that I have, let's see. All right, it does look like the offense dates are January 6, 2024 through September 25th of 2024. So, Mr. Berry, what happens is when you are on release for another case and you commit new offenses, which is what the state has alleged here, then they can ask that you be held without bond. That's their request. That means that until we have a future hearing to discuss whether or not that's going to stay the same, that's what will happen for right now. So I am going to hold you without bond today. Your no bond hearing is going to be set for December 16th at 2:30 in the afternoon. Ms. Wright should be contacting you before that hearing so that you know what to expect at that time. And either the no bond will stay in place or there will be a bond that will be issued. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So this case has already been indicted. So it looks like the next hearing for you is going to be an arraignment, and that's going to be on December 17th at 1:30 in the afternoon. So that'll be the day after your no bond hearing. If you are still in custody at that time, the jail will have you appear via video, much like you're doing here today, for your arraignment. If for any reason you do bond out and you're out of custody, you are required to appear at that date and time. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand that, Mr. Berry?
Yeah, sure.
All right. You are all done for today. Ms. Page, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to say on that one, given the no bond requests.
No, Your Honor. And Your Honor, it looks like Mr. Coulter is present at the jail. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you again, Ms. Page, for jumping on.
Of course, I'm sorry. Thank you, Judge. Have a good day.
You too. Morning, Mr. Coulter.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your full name.
Erica Lorrea Williams.
Mr. Aguez, you are here today on a couple of different matters. Looks like you have a warrant out of Maricopa County Superior Court for an assault involving a riot going back to August of 2023, criminal damage and arson of an occupied jail or prison facility. There is a $15,000 bond, cash bond on that particular warrant. You are also here on a charge of aggravated assault on a peace officer. That's from here in Pima County. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. Mr. Coulter won't be your attorney, but he's going to represent you as we discuss conditions of release on these matters. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services to the court. I've also had a chance to review information that the state has provided with respect to your conditions of release. Looks like they're asking for a $75,000 bond. Mr. Poston, do you want to be heard further?
Yes, Your Honor. Contact me. This individual tried to disarm a police officer, grabbed his pistol, but for the fact that it was likely a triple retention holster, this could have ended very, very poorly. This person was very close to a very, very tragic situation. This person poses a risk to the community.
Mr. Coulter?
Your Honor, given the nature of the offense and the fact that there's a warrant, we'll defer to the court on the record.
A bond in the amount of $10,000 cash or secured on this case. So that goes to the aggravated assault charge involving the officer. If you do post that bond on this new case, ma'am, you'll be released to pretrial services. You'll have to stay in contact with that agency. You're not allowed to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and you can't have any contact with the victim. Your next hearing in this Pima County case is going to be December 20th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you'll be expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences for failing to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand the conditions of release I've imposed here today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. As to the Maricopa County matter, like I said, there is a $15,000 cash bond amount as to that warrant. I am going to impose that amount here today. Normally what happens is your Pima County cases will be resolved first. If you do end up posting the bond and that's something you want to talk to your attorney about, then you'll have to go up to Maricopa County. As long as you remain in custody on this case, we're going to set a review hearing here for the Maricopa County matter to make sure we don't lose track of it for January 10th at 9 a.m. So if you're still in custody on your Pima County case and you haven't posted the $15,000 bond for your Maricopa case, you'll probably still be here, and we'll see you again on January 10th at 9 a.m. just to get an update to make sure that we know what's happening on that. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you are all done for today.
Thank you.
I think that is normal.
Says about one full. Ball.
Hi, sir. Tell me your full name.
Paul Carl Hland.
Mr. Hoyland, you are here today on charges of unlawful flight from law enforcement and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. I am going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing today. Mr. Coulter won't be your attorney, but he is going to represent you as we talk about your conditions of release on this matter. I've had the opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services. I've also had the chance to review the state's recommendation. It does look like they're asking for a bond in the amount of $7,500 in lieu of a no bond. It looks like you have a case pending out of Johnson County, Kansas as well. And I'm not seeing you on that matter today, sir, but I want you to know that it exists. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
Your Honor, if the court does not consider the Kansas case where he's on release sufficient for the no bond, the state would go ahead with the $7,500 recommendation.
Mr. Coulter?
Your Honor, I don't have any details or anything to confirm whether that Kansas case is still active or not, but I would note there's no warrant in that case. There's no hold noted on the pretrial services report from such a warrant. So I am asking you to consider his release, consider releasing him to pretrial services in this matter. And if a bond should be posted, it certainly shouldn't be a no bond hold. I'm asking you to impose a very low bond in this one.
So I am actually going to release Mr. Hoyland to pretrial services. But here's the thing, Mr. Hoyland. Are you listening to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have an address for you on East 28th Street. Is that a good address for you?
Oh, ma'am.
Do you have a better address?
Give me your current address.
1450 South Normont Circle, can be CL.
Normont?
Nouramo. Yeah.
Okay.
Right there. Yeah, 85713, Tucson, Arizona.
85713.
Tucson, Arizona.
All right.
So we need to update our information. Mr. Coulter, can you repeat that?
1450 Normont Circle.
South Normont.
South Normont Circle.
Okay.
Tucson, Arizona, 85713.
All right. And are you working right now, Mr. Hoyland?
I am part-time at Pima Medical Institute as janitor.
Okay. All right. So I do see that it looks like a warrant of Johnson County, Kansas that is on the pretrial services. And that's from something that happened back in 2021. It looks like unlawful acts concerning computers was the charge. Looks like you were arrested in Pima County in 2023. You should have been extradited back in March of 2024, and there was a plea hearing scheduled in December that you didn't show up for. So I don't have a warrant here today, so the only thing that I am seeing you on are the Pima County matters that are going on. And that's the unlawful flight and possession of drug paraphernalia. This is not going to go away. So you have to figure out how to resolve your matter from Kansas. So talk with your legal defender here and get that worked out, but ignoring it is only going to land you right where you are right now. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so for these charges here in Pima County, I am going to release you to pretrial services. You're going to have to participate in any monitoring or treatment that they direct. You may not have any alcohol or illegal drugs. You can't have any firearms or weapons. Jail, do you have any conflicting information on the warrant?
Not at this time, Judge.
Okay.
I point
So,
out your services report, December 27th of this year is the next hearing. It's doubtful that he has a scheduled hearing and a warrant, not an active warrant.
the thing that concerns me, Mr. Coulter, is the extradition from March of this year. So I just don't know.
I went out there, Your Honor. They didn't extradite me.
Okay.
I was released. I went out there.
Okay, well, again, the hearing, December 27th, you can't ignore it. Make sure that you're taking care of that. So, yeah, so again, I'm releasing you to pretrial services, so you have the opportunity to make sure that you get it taken care of. So I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't any other information given the gap in time. It's a long time from March till now to not have had anything happen, and maybe it's because you're here. So you're being released. Make sure you stay in contact with pretrial. Your next hearing is December 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing here. That hearing date may or may not occur, but you're going to be responsible for showing up at all future court dates here. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can be issued for your arrest. You need to stay in good contact with your legal defender here in the event that any dates change. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You're all done for today, Mr. Hoyland. You'll be released later today.
Okay.
Hi, tell me your full name.
Adrian, Esteban Salguero.
Mr. Salguero, do you also go by Salguero Vasquez?
I do, yes.
All right. You are here today on a charge of aggravated assault involving officers. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on this matter. I've also had the opportunity to review the state's recommendation. Looks like they're asking for a $5,000 bond. My inclination is released to pretrial services today with conditions that involve absolutely no firearms while this case is going on. Does anyone want to be heard further?
Your Honor, given the court's statements regarding inclination, state submits on the written record.
Mr. Coulter?
Nothing further here.
All right. I do note that there is no criminal history. So, sir, you're going to be released today. You have to stay in contact with pretrial services. Any monitoring or treatment they recommend, you have to participate in. You can't have any alcohol or illegal drugs while this case is going on, and you may not possess any firearms or weapons. If you have guns in your home, you do need to surrender those to law enforcement while this case is going on. Talk with your public defender about how it is that you can go about doing that. Don't have any contact with the victim. Do you understand all of those conditions of release in this case?
I do.
Your next hearing is December 30th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're going to be responsible for showing up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Since you'll be out of custody, it's going to be very important you stay in contact with your attorney in the events that dates change. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
I do.
All right, you're all done.
Make sure you still touch. Okay, thank you.
Maxwell.
I was doing. Oh. Again, we'll sit right there. There you go.
Hi, tell me your full name.
Mary Maxwell Jr.
Sir,
Is it okay if I go back downtown?
hang on. I need to talk to you about why you're here today. So you are here because you've been charged with a felony offense involving possession of a dangerous drug.
What is that?
You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here.
Wait. What's the felony of drugs?
So it looks like you have a warrant on a case from 2023 for the dangerous drug possession and drug paraphernalia. The warrant was issued back in February of 2023, and it has a $5,000 bond amount on it. From possessing dangerous drugs and drug paraphernalia back in 2023. Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're ready.
All right. So, Mr. Maxwell, I've had a chance to review information from pretrial services. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to your conditions of release. That's what we're here to talk about. Mr. Poston.
So am I released? Am I released?
No,
Just a minute.
not yet. Mr. Poston, I see you're asking for $7,500. Looks like there is a $5,000 amount on the warrant. Did you want to be heard further?
Yes, you're looking at about 11 months of absconding afterwards. Hence the actually was January of 23.
Yes.
So we're looking at almost 24 months here. The state has very serious flight risk concerns.
Mr. Coulter?
Your Honor, I don't believe the concerns here are with flight risk. I believe the concerns here are with ability and with the services given to him to make sure he has the ability to come to court. I sense in him a willingness to try to cooperate, but perhaps a diminished ability to do so. I'm asking you to release him to pretrial services and on the enhanced program and allow them to get him in touch with some community services and make sure that he knows about his court dates and comes to his court dates.
Yeah, so I go downtown.
So, Mr. Coulter, there is no enhanced pretrial services anymore. It does look like he was released to pretrial services previously and failed to maintain contact with them, and that's why this warrant issued. So today I am going to impose a bond in the amount of $2,000 that will be cash or secured and released to pretrial services if you're able to post that bond, Mr. Maxwell. If you do post a bond. Okay.
I don't have any.
Listen.
I don't have any money.
You're not going to be released unless you post the bond for right now. I'm going to give you a court date and then you can talk with your public defender and they can talk with you about going forward and whether or not you may be able to be released in the future.
Did I stay in jail?
You're going to stay in jail for right now. If you do post the bond or someone posts it for you, you have to participate in any monitoring or treatment pretrial services recommends. No alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Your next court date is going to be December 17th at 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm not going to get into that with you today. You can talk with your attorney about that. So Your next court date is the 17th. You do have to appear at that date and time. If you're in custody, you'll appear via video like you're doing today. But if you post bond, you have to make sure you show up or they're going to issue another warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that? You're not. You're being held today on a $2,000 bond. If you post the bond, then you can be released. Talk with your attorney, Mr. Maxwell, okay? They'll be able to work with you. You're all done for today.
Hello?
Hi, tell me your full name.
Alexis Roy.
Miss Roy, you are here today on felony charges involving dangerous drug. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you, and you do have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. You're also here on a Tucson City Court matter. We're going to talk about that one in a moment. As to the dangerous drug possession, it looks like you may be eligible to participate in a substance abuse treatment court. What that means, Ms. Roy, is if you agree to substance abuse treatment and to maintain contact with pretrial services, if you successfully complete that program, it's kind of like a diversion program, the state will not go forward with this felony charge. Is that something you're interested in doing?
Yes.
Okay. In light of Ms. Roy's willingness to participate in the substance abuse treatment court, I am inclined to release her to pretrial services. I do note that that was the state's recommendation. Does either counsel need to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Roy, you're going to be released today. That's going to be 2 pretrial services. Your next hearing is going to be next week, December 17th at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's going to be for the substance abuse treatment court. It's going to be Pima County Superior Court on the 3rd floor, and you're going to see Judge Hampson. At that court proceeding, you're going to have time to talk with your attorney about the program and what it entails if you want to sign up for it. Pretrial services will be there, and we also have treatment providers from the community that are going to be in the courtroom so that you can sign up with those agencies at that time and get going on the treatment. While on release, you are not to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Mr. Coulter, are we willing to waive time for the preliminary hearing?
Yes, Judge.
So, Ms. Roy, normally what would happen is the state would have 20 days to file an indictment on your case with the felony charges. But because you may be eligible to participate in the substance abuse treatment court, we're going to extend that time out. And that's what I just asked your attorney. So if for some reason you're not eligible to participate in the SMART program, or you don't show up, the next court date for you will be January 24th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're responsible for showing up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand all your conditions of release, Ms. Roy?
Yes, I do.
And do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes.
Okay, make sure you go to that court hearing next week. It's a really great opportunity if you qualify for that program. Let's talk about your city court case. It does look like there's a warrant for a shoplifting charge out of Tucson City Court. I'm going to release you on your promise to appear on that case as well. You must not return to the incident location wherever that theft or shoplifting occurred. Don't go back there. Those are the victims. You can't have any contact with them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your next hearing in Tucson City Court is going to be January 8th, 2025 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's going to be in front of Judge Blue. When you get released, you're going to get a copy of your paperwork. It'll have that date and time on it,
Okay.
as well as the information for where to go for city court.
Okay.
All right, you are all done for today, Miss Roy.
Your Honor, may I ask you to repeat the smart court hearing date and time?
It was the 17th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Judge.
That'll be in front of Judge Hanson.
Yes.
Interest. Cordova. Hello. Hello.
Good morning. Tell me your full name.
This is you? Mark Anthony Cordova. Thank you.
Mr. Cordova, you are here today on felony charges involving DUI with a blood alcohol concentration above, well, 0.08 and 0.20, and criminal damage. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney in this matter. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. We're here to talk about your conditions of release on this case. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on this matter. I've also had a chance to review the state's recommendation as to your conditions. It looks like they're asking for a $5,000 bond on this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard further?
State submits on the written record, Your Honor.
Mr. Coulter, I will tell you the court's inclined given the prior 4 DUI. I understand that it may be a little bit older, but it does exist, and the BAC in this case was a 257. The court's inclination is a $10,000 cash or secured bond.
Your Honor, I understand the court's inclination. However, that DUI case is very, very old at this point. And given his law-abiding behavior since then, he has no other arrests of any kind at any level in the intervening years. That's over 20 years at this point. I am asking you to go ahead and release him to pretrial services. If you must set a bond, set a very much lower bond. He's a long-term resident in this community. He's retired, which means limited means, relatively limited means. And certainly he should be free from release in order to challenge this charge against him. So I believe pretrial services is the most appropriate placement.
I will impose a bond in the amount of $5,000 cash or secured. If you're able to post that bond, Mr. Cordova, then you'll be released to pretrial services. You will be ordered to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. They will put you on alcohol monitoring. You will need to participate in that. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not drive without a valid license, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Do not go to the incident location or have any contact with the victims there where the criminal damage occurred. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes, I do.
Your next court date is December 20th at 1:30. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
It's December 20th.
Yes.
Do you understand? Yes. I told you? Yes.
Okay, you're all done for today, Mr. Cordova.
Okay, how about the $5,000 bond?
Oh my gosh. That's good. Ms. Heisman?
Hi, ma'am. Tell me your full name. Ms. Highsmith, you were here today on a couple different matters. One of them is a warrant out of Tucson City Court. The other is an arrest warrant out of Maricopa County Superior Court for possession of a dangerous drug, possession of a narcotic drug. Those are both class 4 felonies. Looks like there was a failure to appear at a hearing, and there's a $5,000 cash only bond on that warrant. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. At this time, the court is inclined to impose the $5,000 cash only bond as indicated on the warrant out of Maricopa County. Mr. Coulter, I don't know if you have a position. I know you're not representing her on this case, but I'll give you the opportunity if you want to talk with her.
Well, Your Honor, I do believe that there are good reasons in a drug case to keep somebody on release rather than in jail, but I recognize the concerns in the report as well, so we'll submit on that.
So Ms. Highsmith, I am going to impose the $5,000 cash only bond that Maricopa County is recommending at this time. I'm going to release you on your Tucson City Court matters, so we'll talk about that in a second. The jail should be contacting Maricopa County. If they want to come get you, if you're not able to post the bond, then they'll get you to Maricopa County so that you can get that matter taken care of. If you post the bond, you're going to need to make sure that you get in touch with Maricopa County so that you can get this matter taken care of. I am going to set a review hearing here in Pima County, just in case you're still in custody. You shouldn't still be here, but on January 10th at 9 a.m. is when we'll have the review hearing. So if you are still in the Pima County Jail, we'll see you much like we're doing here today. You're going to get a copy of the release condition order. It's going to have the Maricopa County Superior Court information on it. As to your city court matter, I am going to release you on your promise to appear. You are not to return to the incident location. This was a theft or shoplifting case and also drug paraphernalia. I'm going to set a non-transport review hearing for you. So your next hearing in Tucson City Court is going to be January 9th at 2:30, and that's going to be in front of Judge Cranshaw at Tucson City Court. By then, I would suspect that you'll get your Maricopa County matter resolved. If for some reason you don't and you're still in Maricopa County, make sure to let your attorney know that you have this city court matter down here so that they can make arrangements to adjust your court date or see you via video if necessary. All right, Ms. Highsmith?
She just wants to know if you understand it, then we'll talk.
I understand.
Okay. And do we have either Mr. Engles or Miss Benson on the line? And you may have to hit *6 on your phone. Give me just a second, ma'am. We do have victims on the line for your case, and I'm waiting to see if they can jump in. There we go. Can you hear me? Nope. Is this Morris Engles?
Yeah, this is me.
Okay, all right. So ma'am, I need you to tell me your full name.
Taylor Faye Lorraine Engles.
Miss Engles, you are here today on charges of burglary in the second degree. It is a class 3 felony. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on this matter. Also had a chance to review the state's recommendation. We're here to talk about your conditions of release. I do have one of the victims on the line today. I also note that pretrial services has indicated that there is an active order of protection listing Mr. Engles and Ms. Benson as the protective persons on this case. Mr. Poston, did you want to be heard as to your $10,000 bond recommendation?
Your Honor, the report essentially speaks for itself. The defendant was fully aware, had been briefed when served with this OOP, would not allow to go to the location. However, she went to the location, allegedly went to the location, contacted a locksmith, changed the locks while the occupants were away, removed surveillance equipment, prepped others' property to apparently be taken away. And then when the victim returned, there was a confrontation. This person was explicitly told that they were not to go there under any circumstances. Not only did she go back violating the court's order, but she also decided to hire a locksmith to drill out the locks and gain access. This is very concerning, Your Honor. State submits.
All right, Mr. Engles. So we're here to talk about not what happened. I know the state kind of gave us a recitation of the events in this case, but what we're here to talk about are the conditions of release and your input on that. Can you talk with me about that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, I am at the point right now where I am not sleeping. I'm missing work. My life is in shambles. I've had to basically barricade my doors because they changed the locks yesterday. They said they had a locksmith, but the doors are pried. It looked very shady. They had keys. I don't know if the person that she had over here has an extra key. She had stolen guns out of the house before. I am afraid for my life, the safety of my girlfriend. I am afraid for the safety of my animals, and I do not want her released.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Mr. Coulter. It's defense position.
Your Honor, I would just point out that Ms. Engles here is not only obviously very young, but had recently been thrust into homelessness, which is a frightening prospect for anyone, but certainly her criminal history, of which there is none, indicates that she may not have been prepared for this. The pretrial services report also indicates the need for a mental health assessment, and I think pretrial services release is the most appropriate way to handle this. I respect that scary things have happened, but certainly the fears of future violence or risk of harm to anyone, the victim or the community, may be a bit overblown in this case, given that she was simply looking for a place to live and suddenly didn't have one. She needs services from the community, Your Honor. She needs the mental health screening. I'm asking you to release her to pretrial services.
Ms. Engles, I'm going to impose a bond today in the amount of $7,500. That's cash or secured. If you post that bond, then you'll be released to pretrial services. If you get released to pretrial services, you'll have to participate in any monitoring or treatment they direct. You're not allowed to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. You are not allowed to have any contact with the victims or return to the incident location. I already mentioned, in addition to this court's order, there is a no contact order, an order of protection that exists as well. This order is in place for as long as you're in custody as well. So you may be given access to phones, emails, tablets, and ways to communicate. You are not to have any contact with the victims. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes, ma'am.
Your next hearing date is December 20th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's the preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you will be expected to show up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, you're all done for today, Ms. Engles. Thank you, sir. We're all done for today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Kingry. Singles.
Hi, tell me your full name.
Isaiah David Kingry.
Mr. Kingry, you are here today on charges of shoplifting with priors, which makes it a class 4 felony. You do have a right to remain silent on this charge. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. I've had an opportunity to review information provided by pretrial services on this matter. I've also had a chance to review information provided by the state as to their recommendation. The state is asking for a $5,000 bond on this case. The court is inclined to release to pretrial services. Does either party wish to be heard further?
Your Honor, the state is very concerned about this person's continued alleged shoplifting. This is not a one-off, not even a two-off incident. This is continuous. That said, state submits on the written record.
Your Honor, given the court's inclination, I don't have anything further to add. I do agree that pretrial services is the most appropriate.
It does look like there are 2 prior arrests. Those were within 5 years, and it looks like they occurred. One of them was in 2022, and the other one was August of this year. So those are the only priors that the court notes on this case. So Mr. Kingry, I'm going to release you to pretrial services today. You have to stay in contact with that agency as directed. You're not allowed to possess or consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. You are not allowed to return to where the shopliftings occurred in this case. The victims are there and you're not allowed to have any contact with them. It's an important part of your release conditions. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your next hearing date is going to be December 30th at 1:30 in the afternoon. That's a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you'll be responsible for showing up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Since you're going to be out of custody, it's important you stay in contact with your attorney in the event that the dates change. Do you understand the consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. So I am getting released today?
You're getting released today with the conditions that I gave you. Don't go anywhere near where those shopliftings occurred anymore. Got it?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Your Honor.
All done. Hi, ma'am. Tell me your full name.
Marina Ramos Ramirez. Marina Esperanza Ramos Ramirez.
Miss Ramirez, you are here today on a warrant out of Maricopa County Superior Court for aggravated assault, resisting arrest, assault, and disorderly conduct. Looks like it's a class 5 felony, a class 6 felony, and then a couple of misdemeanors. The warrant does list an amount of $50. We're here today to set conditions of release on that warrant. Looks like it was issued back in October of 2022. If I release you on this case today, will you promise to contact Maricopa County Superior Court and get a court date set so that you can get this case resolved?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to release you on this matter today. When you get released, you're going to get a copy of your appearance order with release conditions. It's going to have the phone number for Maricopa County Superior Court. You need to call today so that you can get your next court date and get that matter taken care of. It's not going to go away, and it's just going to keep coming back up if you don't take care of it. Do you understand?
Yes. Thank you.
Right.
That's all for this defendant, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. There you go.
Ms. Rodriguez?
So it doesn't let me take out the review hearing date. I assume you do that when we release them? Ah. Yeah. Okay. I didn't on that one, so. Okay. Hi, ma'am. Tell me your name.
Good morning, Your Honor. It's Adriana Marisela Rodriguez.
Ms. Rodriguez, you are here today on 2 charges, possession of dangerous drug and possession of a narcotic drug. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on this matter. I'm going to appoint the legal defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. He won't be your attorney, but he's going to represent you as we discuss conditions of release. So just something to note, in reviewing the interim complaint, the court does find that there's PC for the narcotic drug, but not the dangerous drug. I do see fentanyl listed. I don't see any other drug. So I will note that. Ms. Rodriguez, you are eligible to participate potentially in a substance abuse treatment court. If you are eligible, you'd have to agree to participate in substance abuse treatment, stay in contact with pretrial services. And if you successfully complete that program, it's a diversion program in essence, then the state will not go forward with this felony charge against you or these felony charges. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah. Yes, very much.
Okay.
I'm interested in that.
Okay.
Sorry.
In light of Ms. Rodriguez's inclination to participate or her desire to participate, the court is inclined to release her to pretrial services. Just either party wish to be heard further?
No, Your Honor.
And are we willing to waive time for the preliminary hearing, Mr. Coulter?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Ms. Rodriguez, you are going to be released today to pretrial services. The substance abuse treatment court hearing to find out if you're eligible and to sign up for that program is going to be December 17th at 9 o'clock. That's going to be at Pima County Superior Court in front of Judge Hampson. When you go to that court hearing, you'll meet your attorney, pretrial services will be there, and there are also treatment providers from our community that are in the courtroom so that you can sign up for services and get some of that taken care of on that date and time. You are not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, participate in any monitoring or treatment pretrial services directed, and you can't have any firearms while this case is going on. Normally, the state would have 20 days to file an indictment, but because we're looking at putting you in a diversion program for the substance abuse treatment, what I asked your attorney is if he was willing to waive time on your behalf to do a later preliminary hearing date. So that's what we're going to do in your case to see if you can participate in the substance abuse treatment court. So December 17th, 9 a.m. Very important you go to that hearing. All right.
Of course, Your Honor.
The next hearing after that for January 24th, 2025 at 1:30, and that's the preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you are responsible for showing up at all future court dates. And if you fail to appear, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Make sure you get in touch with pretrial services. I know that hearing is a week away, so you have a couple of options. Talk with them and they may be able to assist you in getting something set up with a treatment provider before then, at least give you some referrals. The other option is there's a transition center outside of the jail. It's a trailer kind of right near the jail property, may even be on the jail property. That center has treatment providers and resources that they also may be able to refer to you to. So when you get released, you may want to stop by there.
Awesome. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all done for today.
It's the ones.
Hi, tell me your full name.
Brian Allen Solano.
Mr. Tano, you are here on a couple of different matters today. The first is a possession of a narcotic drug charge. That's a felony. And then there are also some domestic violence matters, DV assault, disorderly conduct out of Green Valley. You do have the right to remain silent on all of these charges. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to an attorney on your felony matters. I'm appointing the public defender's office to represent you, and you have counsel seated with you for purposes of the hearing here today. Based on the nature of your offense, sir, on the drug charge, you may be eligible to participate in a substance abuse treatment court. If you want to participate in substance abuse treatment, you stay in contact with pretrial services and successfully complete the program, the state would not go forward with the felony charge against you. Is that something that you're interested in?
Yes, ma'am. That will work.
So I have reviewed everything pretrial services gave me. I am inclined to release Mr. Tano to pretrial services. Does either counsel need to be heard?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
So Mr. Tano, you're going to be released today to pretrial services. The substance abuse treatment court hearing is December 17th at 9 a.m. That hearing is going to be on the 3rd floor of Pima County Superior Court in front of Judge Hampson. You need to go to that hearing. Your attorney will be there, pretrial services will be there, and treatment providers in our community that participate in the program will also be in attendance. So you can meet with them and get them signed up if you're eligible to participate. Your additional conditions of release: participating in any monitoring or treatment, pretrial recommends you can't have any alcohol or drugs or firearms while this case is going on. Are we willing to waive time for the preliminary hearing, Mr. Coulter?
Yes, Your Honor.
So Mr. Tano, normally the state would have 20 days in which to file an indictment, but because you may be eligible to participate in this diversion program, we're going to waive that time up to 45 days. So make sure you go to that hearing on the 17th. That's really important so that you can get connected to the services and have the potential to have this dismissed. Your next hearing after that is going to be January 24th, 2025 at 1:30, and that is a preliminary hearing. That court date may or may not occur, but you're expected to show up at all future hearings. And if you fail to appear, a warrant can issue for your arrest. Do you understand those consequences if you fail to appear?
Yes, Your Honor.
We're going to talk about your Green Valley case. I am also going to release you on those DV charges today. You have an arraignment that you must appear at in 2 days at Green Valley Justice Court, December 12th at 8:30 in the morning. Your conditions of release on that case: commit no acts of domestic violence, don't have any contact with the victims, or go near the incident location until further order of the court. Do you understand all of those conditions of release?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if you don't show up on December 12th at 8:30, they could issue a warrant for your arrest. Do you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you are all finished for today, Mr. Tano. All right, everyone. Thank you for your help today. Have a great
You're the Tucson, my friend so dear. We gather today, it's crystal clear. From the streets of Congress to Mount Lemon's Peak, united we stand strong and sleek. Old Pueblo's pride, under the desert sun. From the barrios to the ranches, we are one. We walk hand in hand through the cactus and sand. Together we rise tall and grand. Tucson is home where hearts collide. In this vast country where dreams reside, we lift our voices, let our spirits roam. In this melting pot, Tucson is home. In the shadows